welcome back to the channel. My name is Kevin. I am your host here. Welcome to the channel where we help people to do what? Live better, love better, and be better. So if this is your first time joining us, make sure you're hitting that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit the notifications because we do put up videos a lot and we go live from time to time. So you definitely want to make sure you're staying on top of everything that we do on this channel. I am joined again with my amazing, talented, beautiful, sexy, fine as wine. All right, I'm gonna stop. Wife.
Hey.
Tarsha, and so we
Love
do.
You too.
All right, yeah. So this is the
very last
video for this series, not of what we do, but of this series.
Yes, Ready to Love.
Ready to Love. We have come to the end of season 3.
Yes.
And so we have had the the reunion special.
Yes, the
Hour
second part.
2. Listen, there's a lot of stuff going on. So you already know how this goes down. Put in the comments, let us know your thoughts. Some of you all have been on point with your stuff that you have found out. You all as YouTube and Instagram investigators.
Okay.
Y'all found out
give
stuff.
y'all badges.
Listen, deputize you right now. All right. So let's just kind of jump into it.
I'm following your lead.
All right. So we pick up because at the end of it, of course, we saw Denise. The big thing last week was Denise speaking on behalf of Joy.
Right, when Joy didn't ask her to.
Listen, there's more coming from Denise. We'll come to that in a moment. But then the attention turns to Jay and Joy. So we start off really kind of there. Jay and Joy, what their relationship is like, where they are right now.
Right.
And Jay says, I feel like I want to give a Brian answer. Because you know Brian double talks, right?
Right.
He we stronger and weaker at the same time. So so he wanted to give, and so they're friends.
They are friends, but they have been out on dates.
They've been out on, she said one official date, I think is what she said.
Right, or 1.5. Yeah. I don't know what half means. So, but she lost her sister.
Right.
And so I understand you trying to work through that, those emotions and feelings. But I don't know what happened in between that time, because you would think well, this person's supporting me and they're being there for me. This is a great time to lean on them and be even, you've been vulnerable because you lost someone. But it seemed like they kind of put a pause a little bit on that. Right. So
and again, that kind of leans towards some of the things that we've kind of sense about Jay.
Yeah.
That, maybe he, he's not really all the way there as far as emotionally available, right?
Correct. Possibly. And, she got some new information about him.
Yeah.
That she didn't know before. Right. So she shows interest and tells Tommy that. And, because he's like, where y'all going? Where you going to be?
She calls it a situationship.
Yes.
So, and he's like, oh, a situationship. So they are not fully, in my opinion, on the same page of their expectations or what they are wanting out of this relationship. So
some more to come, I guess. Yep. Or you can see them if you follow them. You know,
see if it goes on, we'll see. And then we get reminded of two people that were briefly there.
Yes,
they were only there
eliminated first night. So that was Sam
and Danny.
Sam says that, he shouldn't have really been there because he had a baby on the way.
Listen, I don't know what they got going on in Houston.
I don't know what's going on in Houston.
Y'all need to figure out some things, because it's like in this one show we have 2 confirmed. One that says it's fake news as far as babies on the way, and then there's a 4th one that we kind of been hearing about as far as Shay, which I don't know about that.
I don't know.
So, but we got more babies on this thing
than ever. For people, I'm like, okay, I don't think anyone has anyone locked in.
Right.
Where you can't say, you know what? This has been a new discovery, something that I didn't plan for. And I wasn't aware of when I started the process. Right. And then when they started taping, you should have bowed out.
Yeah.
I would have been like, you know what? I need to figure what's going on. I have another child on the way. Right. And being on a show right now, looking for love, is not going to work for me right now.
And I mean, for Sam, it didn't really impact too much. It might have impacted how he was feeling that one day. Right. Because that's about how long he lasted.
Couple hours.
I don't know if he got the news like right before he walked off that boat or what.
I don't know.
And maybe that's why he was.
No, he was saying that was caused him not to be there, supposedly, and mentally be there.
But again, he was there. It was only one day, so I don't know when he got the news. So I'm still Danny. I still kind of root for her because I think she kind of got the short end of the stick.
Yes and no. The thing is when a guy feel like you're being his buddy, that means somewhere in that mingling, she wasn't making herself vulnerable.
Right.
I think a lot of times women they feel more comfortable coming off as the homie and the friend. So there's not that sense of rejection, or they're holding back instead of saying, you know what, I'm here for love. And taking that approach to it.
Yeah.
So she sounds like a great person, and she kind of mentioned, she's like, don't you start off as friends first and you work your way into that? That means she has a lot of friends at home she could be dating right now.
And there is a balance there because, I mean, we are really great friends,
right? But
we were establishing a romantic relationship.
We were.
And our friendship and the romance grew at the same time.
It grew at the same time. So, like, if it didn't work out, you did something crazy, I would have been like...
Or you were crazy?
I mean, crazy in the fact that I couldn't see myself dating. Now, if you cray-cray, then we wouldn't been talking. But if I was like, you know what, this ain't gonna work out, but you could be my buddy...
Right.
Then, yeah.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. All right. And then we move on to Raymond.
I'm glad you ain't my buddy.
I'm glad you ain't my buddy. My buddy. My buddy and me. All right. Yes, we did kind of show our age right there. For those of y'all that know what that's from.
If not, Google it.
Yeah.
It's there.
All right, but then we get to Raymond. With his... Raymond got like 13 kids.
But he had him already. They almost gone out the house.
Right.
And so Raymond already showed his cards. He looks great for his age. I got to give him that. So I think for Raymond, he was just kind of like put in this kind of place where, hey.
Yeah. So
I think if he was more open to being married and having more of a committed relationship, that would have helped.
That was the thing that kind of was the sticking point for people with Raymond. It wasn't so much the kids. It was like, okay. But I think that they were willing to get beyond that, especially considering that I think it's only maybe one or two of them that are still of, being adolescents, if I can say. Right. But the conversation he had with Adriana and some of those other things.
Right.
And then even then on the show, he was like, what's the difference between shacking and married? And Tommy was like, legal.
And you shack it for 10 years? And then it's just like being married for 10 years. He's like, no, it's not.
Simone was like, it's not. And Simone, the lawyer, went into lawyer mode. She was like, no, it's not.
Right.
So,
and it depends on every state. Right. Now, some states, they allow common law. Why is that so? Because they can allow for somebody to have assets that they have together.
Right.
And, I tell people who are living together, especially if they're in a state where that's not prominent, if you love each other, I was like, what I want you to think about, if you're in the hospital and that's the love of your life, and his parents or her parents come from somewhere and start making decisions, you cannot make no decision. Right. Well, we lived together for 10 years. We love him. He told me what he wanted. He hasn't talked to his parents for a year. Yeah, that's all good and said and done. But guess what? You have no rights.
Yeah.
They can take his money out of his bank account. Yep. They can get anything that has his name on it because the birth certificate has the parent's name. Yep. You have no certificate.
Nothing that has your name on it except the lease agreement, and that ain't mattering.
And that ain't matter. Mm-mm. So if y'all really love each other, and to me, it's a protection for where you are to help. That helps solidify even in your death.
Exactly.
Yep. So that's the tip of the day.
That's the tip. All right. But then Raymond started connecting. It looks like he's connected with So y'all know how I feel about Shay on this show, right?
Yeah.
Shay was. I'm not gonna say she was a waste of space because that's harsh.
Yeah, that's harsh.
But Shay,
even though you said it.
No, I said I'm not gonna say that because I could say it and say that and just let it stay there, right?
Okay.
But she took up the opportunity for someone I think that may have at least gotten a little more involved with people. Because if you remember the show, as far as Shay was in like 2 episodes for like 13 seconds each. She was very much not there.
Well, I would assume that she had went on some dates.
Right.
But because nothing connected, I guess they want to say, well, she's not really getting any connection. So this is where we're going to see her. You know,
until we see her awkward twerking.
Yeah. Yes. And the connection she did make, it was just like really like, wow, you know. So I think for her, you know, it was like, hey, I'm here to have a good time. Mm-hmm. And she wouldn't have known who was on the show. And I'm trying to figure out, did she really didn't feel anybody? But she did say Raymond and her went on a date or something before he got voted off.
Yes.
So she was dating.
Right.
You know, it just wasn't working out.
Right. So they are at this point continuing on.
Yes, after the show.
And she's like, she basically, there's a side commenter basically that she makes is like, look, he gonna be legal if he messing with her.
Right.
So she's like, look, I'm not going for that. We're just gonna shack up and you know be together for 10 years. So shout out to Raymond and Shay.
Right.
Then we move on to
who we got?
Naya and Chris,
man,
and then Edwin, right?
Yeah, okay.
Go ahead.
So everyone's saying, and Naya's saying, oh, that's not really me. I'm just making this up. I don't understand why someone would make up saying they're not into someone when they indicated it's on film, it's rolling. Right. That you were into someone. Right. And then to me, for a man, it's disrespect. And disrespectful, and everyone else was feeling that way by her response. Right. Now, if you really didn't think that or want that, then why would you leave with the people that you were living, spending time with, right? The experience with that impression of you, if that wasn't truly what you meant. Right.
She says that at the end, and there were some unseen footage that we saw where she, you know, we saw part of it when she had her big explosive exit. Right. But then there was more things that came out. Right. And let me know what you think in the comments, because when I watched her reaction to them showing those clips, I saw it felt like or looked like she was breathing a little differently, because it was like, oh, I didn't know they caught that. I don't know they were going to show that. That's my impression. Let me know what you think. So I think that, you know, I think that she was she being extra messy? It's very possible. However, it was messiness without any need or benefit. Right.
Right. And her and Edward are still dating.
Right.
Is the understanding there.
And if I were Edwin, I'd look at all of that and take it with a grain of salt. That's just me.
I mean grain of salt that she didn't mean what she said on the show?
One with how she turned on Chris as far as, I don't know, I'm not, you know, what have you. Right. And then she can flip off and say, you know, I got my person in Atlanta, I got this person, all that. So now I don't know what to trust of you, because what you say, and then in one situation, and then in a very different, the next situation, you say something completely different. You might be saying you feel it. And actually, here's the thing, because remember, she basically was like, I'm not really, you know, I got plenty of options until somebody puts a ring on my finger. So now, Edwin, you're just an option until you put a ring on it. So that means that she has other options that are also competing for her attention with Edwin.
Now, that's what she was consistent in.
She is consistent in that.
And my thing is this. So you just date until someone decides they want to put a ring on it? I think even with us, we made a conscious decision, like, hey, I want to only date you. Right. And I want to see where this goes. But I'm not going to put my focus or intention on anyone else, because I'm totally interested in you. Right. So But she ain't saying that.
No.
She's saying, well, my options are open until someone
puts a ring
say I'm a fiance. But how you could do that if you're focused on so many people at one time?
Because if I'm giving you all of my attention,
right,
but you're giving me 1/10 of your attention,
right,
how do I know what it's going to look like when we have a whole marriage?
Right. I don't.
So I'm still not. So anyway, then Chris, he's like, you know what? I'm learning from this. I recognize that I'm consistent. I give all of myself to my career. I give all of myself to this. I give all of myself to a woman, what have you. And then at the end, he says something about, I'll be found or what have you. And then Chris tries to give him advice. Or Nia. I'm sorry. Nia tries to give him advice. Nia. No.
I'd be like, the moment you decide I wasn't existing anymore, that's the moment where you don't give me any input in my life.
Right.
Because you could tell he was devastated.
Yeah.
He was devastated. All the guys was like, we felt your vulnerability. We felt
your pain. We felt everything about you, that you were into her.
And that you found someone that you could see yourself spending your life with. Now, if anybody was going to give Nia a ring, she the one that missed out. Because it looked like, man, he could have gave her a ring in a couple weeks.
He might have talked to production, hey.
What?
Y'all got anything in the budget?
Right. Right. So, I think that's her missed opportunity.
Yep. All right. So, speaking of crazy.
Lord Jesus.
All right. Y'all know this might have to be a whole separate video, but Denise.
Yes.
Denise.
Yeah.
So, aside from the fact that earlier again, we saw, her speaking on behalf of Joy because she wanted for Joy to express herself through Denise when they didn't have that friendship or relationship. Right. We get into this conversation again about the comments that she was making about Rashid being a narcissist and things of that nature. And so, long story short, even Tommy was like, I was kind of put off because you got this whole light skin versus dark skin thing. I'm in a frat, what's have you, right?
Right, he is.
So, Denise starts making this statement because they call her out. She never apologized.
Right.
Denise and Rashid say that they dealt with it. They squashed it. But he's like, I never got an apology.
Right.
So she makes the statements, I'm going to apologize because they want me to apologize.
She did. She did say that.
Then she says, if you were offended, I apologize.
Correct.
Let me help you all. Those are not apologies. Those do not quantify. Those do not fit as apologies. No. If you're saying the word simply because the people around you want you to say it, it's not an apology.
Correct.
If you're saying it and you're discounting it by saying, if you are offended, well, yes, I'm apologizing because I'm under the understanding that you are offended.
Right.
And so therefore I feel the need to apologize. Right. So she still can't apologize for the fact that she took this man's impression of him.
Right.
And really, because he even brings out the point that it's very possible that people could have had a different opinion of him on the show, and it could have messed up any chances that he had if he's ready to love, because people are like, oh, he's a narcissist.
Right. And like I was trying to share with you, I think for her, in her mind, she doesn't feel like she's done anything wrong.
Let me stop you right there. You said where?
Her mind.
In her mind. That's, yeah. In her mind.
In her mind. So that's why they come out the way they came out.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Yeah. So then that brings the conversation to Denise and Adriana.
Yeah.
And they still beefing.
They are. Now, when Adriana decided to share, I think that's when it kind of pops off. Because I was a little put off by Adriana feeling like she's going to share what Denise said. I feel like, hey, I just, to me, I can't, if someone makes us comment in a group setting and stuff, but it ain't towards me, I'm not going to repeat what somebody else said.
But in her defense, remember, Rashid and Adriana at that time.
Oh, they had a little history.
They have history.
Right.
They also were feeling each other as far as number one.
Sure.
So therefore, now I'm concerned about how you're being perceived.
But do you care if I'm your number one and you're my number one? Who's that helping?
But let me put it like this. Okay. If we are talking, right? Go back to 24 years ago. If we talking, and somebody starts saying something about me, are you coming to tell me?
No.
You're not telling me what?
No, because someone did say something about you, and I just ignored it.
Oh, we got to talk because I don't know about that story.
So I'm just because I didn't feel like it was a genuine place.
Okay.
And that person didn't know me, and I didn't hang out with that person.
Gotcha.
And that person wasn't hanging around you.
Is this that girl that was, she was there for like a half a semester?
So, I don't know.
I think I know what you're talking. I think we did talk about that.
Oh, did we end up talking about that? A little bit later, though.
Yeah.
It was a little bit later. But to me...
that was a jealousy thing, yes.
But to me, it was like, I'm not going to just bring this up.
I got you. All right, let's get back on. Y'all about to see us rehash part of our history on this. That's not what we wanted to do. We might have to do some other things.
But you see how, that's just how I am.
That's how you are.
Because like someone brings something to me and I'm like, I don't see that.
I got you. Okay.
You don't hang out with me. We ain't sisters. Now all of a sudden you want to give me advice about who I'm dating?
All right, back to Ready to Love. Back to Ready to Love.
That's how I work.
All right, so basically, long story short, they still beefing. All right, whether you think Adriana was correct or valid in what she did, which I think she was, or you think that she wasn't, which Tarsha was, they still beefing. They still gonna be beefing.
They still be, because there was other things right. And Adriana tried to bring it out that you always making little snide comments about me. She was. You know, you only coming after me. You weren't coming about anybody else, but she was the one that was, all over Califani. Right. So that's why she was coming after you.
And then Simone says in a side conversation, she says, I am not the craziest cast member. And that's true. Because then we see the clip where Denise is basically like, we got to break up.
Right.
And then we see never before seen footage again.
Right.
Where Califani's like, you just fabricated a lie.
Right.
And she's like, I just wanted you to fight for me. And so Denise, there's a lot of things going on in my opinion there.
Yeah.
Even to the point where there's a point later on where Denise is like, she was never jealous. Yes.
Never jealous over Califani. And even the whole cast members like,
everybody
what?
on the cast is like, wait,
that's not true. What? You weren't jealous. You were jealous, and you even tell that to him.
Right.
And you were saying, well, I'm changing, because he brings it to your attention. Mm-hmm. Now all of a sudden, I'm not jealous. I'm a confident woman. I'm like, what? What were we watching?
So again, if you've watched this before, and again, let us know in the comments kind of your thoughts on this. But we thought that Denise was great. She just needed to kind of tone it down a little.
Yeah.
Because the jealousy was there.
Yeah.
I'm a little concerned for her mental state in some respects, because she just seems to not have a connection with real. And even Califani is like, sometimes we don't see how we are coming off or see everything that we're presenting as far as out to people. And so people need to point that out to us.
Correct.
So she needs to really take some time, rewatch this, and really think through what was happening then.
Yeah. Okay? Well, yeah, because, I just think it seemed like she just had a hard life and everything she had to fight for.
Yeah.
She's talked about having trauma with a relationship. I think it's just trauma in where she come from, because she was talking about what city she was from.
Yeah, because
and everything.
She's like, I'm from somebody acres or something.
Yeah, home acres.
Adriana was like, well, I'm from Beaumont, so what? And?
Right. So I think she's trying to associate what she had to fight even as a child, as high school, going away to college.
Right.
There's been a lot of fight in her life, and she don't know when she needs to stop fighting.
Right. So. And just live. Right.
Yeah.
So then, Rashid also makes a statement regarding Adriana, because the conversation then kind of shifts. And so
correct.
Rashid is like, he and Adriana are at different stages and ages, right?
Correct.
Because he's like, look, I'm going to court you
Right.
But not chase you.
Right. And I think I was getting what he was saying, because he was like, courting is like you make a decision that we're going to see each other, we're going to date. That's what courting is, because we're looking for the future. Courting is that I am in the plans that I want you to be my wife.
Right. Let's build together.
Right. We build together with wife. Chasing is like, hey, I see you and I'm hollering. Like, and he was like, but why would I keep chasing you if I want to respect that you are feeling someone else more than you're feeling me?
Right.
So it doesn't make sense, or it comes off in his mind maybe disrespectful. Why should I keep chasing you when I know you want somebody else?
Right. What I get from Rashid is that I don't want to have to continually tap you on the shoulder to remind you that I'm here.
I'm here. Do you want me?
I'm here. Will you give me attention?
Right.
Will you be,
Right.
He's basically saying, look, I've let you know how I feel.
He's like, I'm
pursuing.
Man.
If I got to, if you keep moving the goalpost, and I got to keep finding where you are and checking in to see if you're interested still, I'm not doing that.
And he shouldn't have to.
Right.
Like he said, he shouldn't have to. It looks like you want to be, but if this is the thing, another thing, sometimes women just likes to chase. Mm-hmm. It's all about the adrenaline of someone's paying attention to you.
Right.
They're getting your attention. They're doing things so you can see them. But there has to be a growth where you get beyond just wanting to be chased. Because when you get caught, oh, that's not fun anymore. Right. My attention's not there anymore.
There's a thrill of it, but
there's a thrill of it. Right.
So, and so then basically we also see where between the two of them, what is it? Oh, yeah. So Denise also interjected, because when they were talking about about Khalfani and Adriana, Denise interjected, well, he ain't had no choice since I left. Baby girl, again, she was not connecting with reality, because again, he had already basically moved on and made.
Well, she broke up with him, right?
She broke up with him for their non-existent relationship.
Right.
He had already moved on, made Adriana his number one.
Right.
So, yeah, it would be obvious that he would choose her.
Right. And I don't know why they keep surprising me. She's making these comments instead of saying, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
She was like, well, if I was still there. No, you messed up the opportunity.
You just went home 30 minutes early. That's all.
Pretty much.
So, all right. And then we get to updates on Khalfani and Adriana.
Jesus. Lord have mercy on our souls.
Go ahead. You want to? You feel?
No, ahead. You go ahead. You all go. Right. I'll let you.
I'll get in because yeah. So Adriana, up to this point, the body language still seems to be like, it's not 100% there, but it still seems to be like, okay.
You can see that he's disconnected.
He's disconnected. She's still kind of leaning into him. So, and so basically, it's, have y'all connected, whatever. Well, Adriana's like, well, when we got back home, we were supposed to go out to eat. We wanted to, go over some things with me. Long story short, Khalfani had an ex-girlfriend who left a note on his door, I guess, when he got back.
Baby mama.
Was she baby mama?
Yes.
Okay. So she wanted to reconnect with him, what have you. And he's like, yeah, I think that's going to be the better move for me.
Yeah. Excuse me? Excuse me? I'm sorry.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So, while they're sitting there, this is why I'm like looking at them, and it doesn't look like he even gave her any closure or why he decided on that. Because her question is, I don't know if Khalfani was really real on the show.
Right.
And they start to have a side conversation.
Because Tommy being Tommy is
Tommy,
like,
Daddy
hey,
Tommy.
Tommy is he nephew Tommy, but Tommy really Uncle Tommy right now.
Uncle Tommy.
Tommy is like, okay, I think in his mind he's like, okay, Rashid and Adriana were kind of, they were almost at the goal line. Mm-hmm. Let me see if I can check in with him, see if we can maybe make this connection.
Yep.
So he turns to Rashid like, hey Rashid, how do you feel, now that she's single? And Rashid's talking, but Adriana's having a side conversation with Khalfani. And Tommy's like, hold up, wait.
Like, excuse me, what are y'all talking about?
You missing out, because I'm talking to him about...
No. Tommy goes, what are y'all doing? What are y'all talking about? And they explain that they're talking about how she felt that Kyle finally might not have been real, and I was trying to tell her I did have 100% feelings for her right then, but you know, my ex left a note, and that's my baby, you know, the kid, my mom,
whatever,
baby of my kids, whatever, and blah blah blah. And he goes, Adriana, did you hear anything that Rashid said?
No. I'm sorry. What?
I'm sorry. Like she's sitting in class. That's what you say when that's what a student says.
Which again brings out
in a class.
Rashid and Adriana are at different ages and stages.
So Tommy's like, he didn't even go back to Rashid. He's like, okay, moving on.
Right. Because if you all remember, one of my concerns about Adriana that I kept bringing up was I felt that she was a little too immature. And I thought that if she was going to, that maybe her and Rashid would not make the connection, even though they were saying they were. I thought that would be her better choice for stability reasons. But one of the things, if y'all remember, if y'all been watching, I kept pointing out the fact that it seemed like she was a little too immature. And so now we see that really on Front Street.
Oh, it was right on Front Street.
So Kyle Fani is now engaged, it looks like, to, or at least very seriously thinking about marriage with this other woman.
Yeah, he's not engaged because Tommy asked him, so are you gonna marry this woman? He said, possibly. I mean, it looked like might turn out to be.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why we were sharing, anytime a man has kids by a woman, and you were mentioning how depending on how they broke up.
Right. If we broke up, so if and because we don't know the situation with Kyle Fani on what happened with the woman, the baby mother, or the mother of his children, let's call it that, right? The mother of his children or child. So if we broke up because maybe it just wasn't right timing, but I still had feelings connections. Yeah, let's re-engage there. If I messed up and you're giving me another opportunity, yeah, we'll connect there. But if you crazy, I'm not connecting with you again.
That makes sense.
And so that's something that maybe would be a conversation, especially if you're thinking about going on Ready to Love next season, whatever that might be. These are some of the conversations you might want to have, especially with those that have kids.
Right.
What's going on with the mother of your children, or the father of your children?
Relationship with you guys.
Are you pregnant right now? Do you have anyone pregnant right now?
Do you have anyone pregnant?
These are all questions that now have to come into the environment of Ready to Love.
Well, and the thing is, I feel like he was being genuine in the show.
I believe so,
because he didn't think anybody was waiting at home for him.
No, so. I don't fault him for that. I fault him for how he how he handled the disconnection with Adriana. It seems like you're right. She didn't have the closure that she needed or deserved based upon what she had experienced for the previous weeks with him.
Exactly.
Okay.
Because I'd be like, what? I pick you. And then that's what Tommy asked him, like, well, did you think about Rashid? And she's like, yeah, I thought about him.
She said immediately.
She's like, immediately. But, but at the same time, she was still wanting to know why Kyle finally ghosted her, pretty much.
Right.
So.
Yeah. All right. So that was pretty much it for the reunion. Hopefully there is a next season. Haven't heard any announcements yet. But don't worry. We still are putting up videos. We still have content coming on this channel. In fact, go check out our Married at First Sight.
Yeah.
We have started those recaps and reviews. So if you've watched Married at First Sight or have never checked it out and want to check it out, go watch it and then come watch the recaps. We'll be doing the same type of conversations we have here.
Yep.
I've got it linked up you'll see it in the suggested videos up in the top here. I think that's it for us.
Yep.
All right. Well, we appreciate everybody that has hopped on. Thank you for your subscriptions. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your notifications.
Thank you for your likes.
Thank you for all of that. We appreciate you, each and every one of you. Every one of you. Wow.
Yeah.
Having a good time.
Every one of you.
Listen. Wow. All right. Y'all have a good one. Be blessed. All right.